Hello and welcome everyone. It is I, Mike V. Hope you are having a wonderful day today. In this video, we're going to be discussing table games, and we're going to take a look at 3 of them that anyone can hop right into, even if you have not played a table game before in your life. So these games will have simple decisions and very little strategy, if any at all. So if you are new to my channel, I normally do tutorial videos on casino games with an emphasis on video poker. And if you enjoy this type of content, please give this video a like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I definitely appreciate it. Now let's get started. So the first table game that I've listed here is a fan favorite around the world, and that is roulette. So the premise is pretty simple. You can bet on a single number, a group of numbers, or a type of number, such as the color of that number, or whether or not it's even or odd, that you think the ball will land on. So pretty simple as that. There's no real strategy to it other than you can control the volatility of your session in the short term. So the typical American 00 wheel is what you're typically going to find here in the US with a house edge of 5.26%. Definitely better than the average slot machine. So for those branching out of table games, roulette is a pretty easy one to start yourself up on. Some tips that I list here is avoid the 5-number bet, which is a bet that you usually put in the corner of the 0, 00, 1, 2, and 3. So if you want to bet on those 5 numbers, then what I would do is divide your bet by 5 and then put them individually on those numbers. Because the 5-number bet has a lower total payoff, which brings the house edge up to 7.89% on that bet. So that's the only strategy that you should know about this is just avoid that bet. Every other bet has the same 5.26% house edge. And if you can't avoid the 000 wheel, this is common on the Las Vegas Strip, unfortunately. That brings the house edge up to 7.69% on all bets. And a lot of people play because they see the lower minimum bet for that game. And the minimum bet would have to be really low compared to the 00 wheels at that casino in order to justify the expected loss on that to playing the 000 wheel. What I have found out is I did some calculations. If you have a $20 minimum 00 wheel and a $15 minimum 000 wheel, and you stick to just the minimum bets, the expected loss is about the same for both in terms of dollar values if you convert it to dollars from those percentages of the house edge. So especially if you're going to be playing more than the minimum bet, if you can afford higher bets, there's no reason to be playing the 000 wheel at all. The minimum bets would have to be much lower for the 000 wheel to justify it. But for the most cases, you should avoid it if you can. If there is a 00 wheel at a bet level you're comfortable with, choose that. And finally, try to find a single 0 wheel if it is available. In the US, you're pretty much only going to find it in high-limit rooms, in Vegas especially. But if you are a high roller at that kind of bet level, then definitely play the single 0 wheel. That reduces the house edge to 2.7%. If you are in Europe or if you play at an online casino, a single 0 roulette is going to be the standard and it's going to be more widely available. And you may also find the versions of the single 0 wheel where even money bets, such as red or black, will give you half of your bet back if the ball lands on 0. That reduces the house edge in half to 1.35%. So definitely, if you can afford to or you can find a single 0 wheel, definitely play that. Next on the list here, the second table game we're going to be discussing is baccarat. So the premise here is pretty simple. Just simply bet on which hand you think will have the highest total rank closest to 9, either the player hand or the banker hand. These are titles given to 2 sets of hands. They have nothing to do with an actual player sitting at the table or the dealer dealing the cards himself. So these are just two separate hands. It's like flipping a coin, essentially. The house edge on the player bet is 1.24%, and on the banker bet is 1.06%. And that's despite the fact that you do have to pay a 5% commission on wins on the banker bet. The banker bet is still lower in terms of the house edge, so the best strategy here is to just always bet the banker, but most baccarat players don't do that. They alternate based on suspicious trends, so, based on suspicion and following trends, but that doesn't really mean anything in the long term, so it's up to you. Player bet is low house edge enough that if you want to change between the two, that is perfectly fine. Now there is there are rules on how the cards, on whether or not the player or the banker hand gets dealt a third card or not. There's a fixed set of rules on that. Luckily, as a player playing the hand, making your betting decisions, you don't have to worry about that. That's something the dealer does automatically, so that makes it a really easy game to just hop right in and play. And the only other piece of advice that I've listed here is to avoid other side bets besides player and banker. So avoid the tie bet, a high house edge of 14.36%, and the pair bets. So there might be a bet on the table called the player pair and the banker pair, which pays if one of those hands is dealt a pair. That has a high house edge as well, 10.36%. So avoid these side bets and any other side bet that you might find on the baccarat table. So that's the second game that's on this list here is baccarat. And the third one that we're going to be discussing, that is an easy one for new table game players to hop right into, is 3-card poker. I decided to list this one because the strategy is very simple. It is a little bit more involved. It is a player versus dealer poker game. 3 cards only, so you have 3-card hands. And I have summarized here the rules for the game here. I'll go ahead and read it out. So first you make an initial ante-bet. And then the player and the dealer are dealt 3 cards apiece. And then the player looks at their cards and can decide whether or not to double their bet. So raise their bet rather, which will be equivalent to their original ante. So it's effectively doubling their bet. Or they fold right away and forfeit their ante bet immediately. Then the dealer will reveal their hand, and they will qualify with a minimum of queen high. So if you make a raise and the dealer does not qualify, then the player automatically wins, but they win only their ante. They win only on their ante bet, and they push on their raise bet or their play bet. And if the dealer does qualify and the player does raise prior to the dealer revealing and qualifying, then the player will win both of their bets if their hand beats the dealer. Otherwise, they will lose both of their bets. And finally, there's an optional pair plus bet, which is a side bet that the player can choose to bet on if they want to, and it doesn't have to be equal to their original ante bet. It can be a different amount, subject to the minimum, of course. And that bet wins if the player is dealt at least a pair, regardless of what the dealer has. So what is the house edge on this game? Well, that varies. I think most games it's around 3.37% based on the most common pay table used for the ante-bonus. The element of risk is similar to the house edge, but that takes into effect your raise bet. So the house edge is only on the ante. The element of risk includes your raise bet, and that brings it to 2.01%. But of course, it'll vary depending on the house rules. The pair plus house edge also varies. If you're playing online if you're playing online, it's primarily going to be the most liberal pay table for that pair plus bet, and that is a nice low 2.32% house edge. But if you're playing at a brick and mortar casino, they'll usually have a worse pay table, bringing the house edge up to 6.75% or higher. There is no issue just avoiding it altogether. It is a side bet, but most people will play it. So if you do, you can keep it to a minimum. Now, what is the strategy for this game? It is very simple. If you have at least a queen 6-4 or higher, you raise. If you have less than that, you fold. That's basically it. That gives you the best possible odds of coming home a winner on that game. So that is the third table game that I have listed here. It is 3-card poker. All right, so that is it. So we have roulette, baccarat, and 3-card poker. Those are 3 examples of easy table games for beginners that can just hop right in and start playing. Just understand a little bit of the rules and you're ready to go. So let me know what you think. Are these 3 easy games for the beginner? Or if you have others that I have missed, or you disagree with me, please put it in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, and this one's interesting for you guys, if you enjoyed it, please give me a like. Hit the like button. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, share the video with others, hit the bell icon to be notified once I release a brand new video. Until then, I will see you for the next one. Take care, everyone. Good luck at the casino, and go make it happen.